Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I just want to say I appreciate you guys being here for just a couple minutes of your day. I appreciate you guys. So this is a book review of Where the Crawdads Sing. So the only reason why I have this book is because my mom would just give me books out of the blue. And this was one of them. I honestly picked up this book because I was going to Tennessee. So I was like, all right, I guess I'll read a Southern themed book. And my girlfriend also wants me to read like theme books once in a while, so I was like, all right, I guess we're gonna try this. And I actually really liked the book. It was a lot better than I anticipated on. Honestly, it was just really good. I was trying to sit there and figure out what genre, like what is this book? At first I thought it was like a thriller, like a horror novel for like a half second, but it's a coming of age mystery, like a murder mystery book. Because you got one chapter where you have the main character named Kaya, where she starts out at 6 years old, and then you have other chapters where it's like 1970 and someone is murdered and the police are trying to figure out who killed the character. But reading this, you're actually learning about a lot of these things about Kaya throughout this whole book that leads up to her being, well, convicted of the murder. She is like, oh, she's the one, she's guilty, she's the one that murdered this man. Now I'm not going to talk about who it is. I mean, she reveals it, but in general this book is really good. I forgot how much I enjoy coming of age, because coming of age to me is like, oh, it's really good, but I don't see enough of it. The only person I actually see that writes coming of age a lot is Stephen King. Most other books I read are not really coming of age as much. Like, yeah, they do have characters that are like 15 and then you see them at like 18, but it's not like you feel like you're living their life like what they do in like this book or like what Stephen King does in his books. So I guess I just don't really experience coming of age as much as I would like to, honestly. But this book does a really good job. It makes me realize, man, I don't read that genre of books too much. But this book, wow. It has like romance plot in it, because it has Kaya and then she has two boys that you meet pretty early on in this book where you just don't know what's actually going on. And they have it like where it's parts, how she wrote it. I was like part one and then part two. And in the first part, Kaya, she's pretty young and you're just learning that she gets abandoned by her mom because of her dad being abusive and he's a drunk. And all of her siblings just started leaving as well. So then she just ends up being alone for such a long time where she just doesn't understand anything besides being alone, which is really sad, honestly. Like, it broke my heart. And the only person that actually like was in her life was Tate, who is one of the love interests in this book. And you meet Tate pretty early on and he teaches her how to read, how to write, how to do all these like amazing things with her where she's at, because she lives in like the marshland. And throughout this whole book, it's like everyone is scared of her because she is the marsh girl. So there's always like rumors and stories about her being like basically a crypto, which is really interesting to me. I just think it's really interesting because the whole time you're reading, you're like, I kind of just feel bad for her because she's just being targeted for doing nothing, just living out in the marsh. So then there's a murder mystery that happens from this guy named Chase Andrews, and you meet Chase pretty early on in this book, but he's just a boy that he's just doing really dumb things because he's just a kid. And Kaya witnesses that, but that's about it. And then when Kaya's older, she's very attractive, I should say. That's the best way to put it. And Chase is like, ooh, yeah. So he starts talking to her and he tries like doing things to her the first time they like hung out. And she immediately put a no to that. So Chase is like, I'm gonna play the long game with her, which is what he does. And he told Kaya that he's gonna marry her, he loves her, and all this stuff. But then she finds out in the newspaper that he's getting married. So then what happens is, in the present time, is Chase is murdered and they're trying to figure out who did it. And to me, I'm like, my whole thought process was it wasn't Kaya, because the way that it's written, it's definitely didn't feel like it was Kaya. But I'm gonna say some things, so I'm gonna get in a little bit of spoiler now, so spoiler warning. But what happens is they take her to court and all the evidence is actually pretty well where Kaya isn't guilty. They actually find out that she's not guilty, which I was like, all right, that makes sense to me. At first I was thinking, like, would her life really be to the point where she is guilty? Like, is she though? I think you find out that she ends up living the rest of her life with Tate, the man who she first loved. Her first love was her real love, because she realized that Chase is someone who she never truly loved. Tate was who she truly loved. And I really like that. I think it was just really good, because how it ends in part 1 is Chase goes off to college, and Kaya never sees him again for years. And it really breaks my heart, because I was like getting pretty invested in this, because I thought it was going to be a romance with a murder mystery. And so I thought when Chase was cheating on Kaya essentially with this other girl, I thought Tate was killing Chase. And because there was a part where they find like this red hat with fabric on it, on the same exact fabric on the hat that was on Chase, and Tate had it and gave it to Kaya. So I was like, oh, did Tate kill Chase? That was like my thought process through it all. I was like, wow. Of course, no, because what happens is Kaya dies eventually, because she just dies of old age, and Tate and her are married, and they live out in that marsh, and all they did is just add on to the shack that she lived in, because she was making money from doing, she actually started making her own like little books, and she made so much money from that where she didn't actually have to like work. And all she did is just put money back into the shack, so on and so forth, which is really cool, I thought, personally. And once she died, Tate finds like a little loose board next to the fire, and he takes it out, and he realizes Kaya did kill Chase Andrews all those years ago. And that's how the book ends. I was like, holy crap, like it blew my mind. That's how the book ended. And I couldn't stop reading this book. The whole week I was in Tennessee, I only read this book. I started reading this other book, and I'm about 100 pages into this book, but probably by the time this video is out, I'm probably finished with it. But with this book, I was invested. Every morning I would wake up and I would just read it, and I would spend hours. There was one day where we didn't do anything for like until like noon, and I woke up at 7, so I read the whole book the rest of the day, like until we had to leave, which was noon. So I read the whole book, because I was like, this book is so good. I just didn't expect it to be this good, and wow, it was oh, wow, it was just really good. I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was really fun. I gave it a 5 out of 5. It was a really fun read. It was kind of slow for like the first 2 chapters. There was a little bit of me, it's like, all right, maybe I'll just give up reading, but I kept with it, and look what happened. It was so good. That's why I usually, if I DNF a book, it has to be like 50 to 70 pages ish before I'm like, all right, this book is not very good, or I just don't like it. And it depends on the genre, but this book was great, and I really enjoyed it. Coming of age, been a long time since I read some coming of age, but this book, 5 out of 5, recommend to literally anybody. It's a great book. If you guys made it to the end of the video, I do appreciate it. Make sure you guys comment down below if you guys read Where the Crawdads Sang. I would like to know what you guys thoughts about this book, and with this author, what else has she wrote that's really good? I would like to know, because I'm probably check out her other books too. And of course, make sure you guys stay safe, stay humble, and tell someone you love them. I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay weird.